Chapter 20, Touching the Other Side. The beauty that came through Danielle after the pain left her body was obvious to everyone. I can't explain the clarity that developed in Danielle. It truly was the most amazing miracle to have my wife return to me. Months of pain had clouded her mind, but now she was free. That freedom brought us closer together, closer than we had ever been before. It was difficult knowing that our time was limited and not everyone could handle it. It was particularly tough on our main nurse. She was new to hospice and had developed a strong connection with Danielle. I know it weighed hard on her to watch Danielle go through the constant struggles. I could tell that her reaction had shifted after Danielle decided to make her final decision. She even stopped her visits, passing the duty of caring for Danielle to a senior hospice nurse. I thought this was understandable considering the experience we were about to face. It was going to be difficult for everyone who supported Danielle in her decision. It was complicated even more by the extraordinary experiences that we would all go through with her at the end of her life. Though the nurses usually just nodded and humored Danielle when she discussed what she was going through or experiencing, Danielle would often confer her experiences about talking to angels while also sharing indisputably divine information. It was profound to be able to observe so much of it. I could tell the words struck many people, but few truly embraced the information that she started channeling. We live in a culture that supports spirituality, but few of us truly experience spiritual encounters. Danielle was starting to embrace the messages she would receive. She had many people that had previously passed coming to her. I could tell when Danielle felt someone in the room, and when I didn't, Andora would. Andora was often a big signal when spirits were present in the room. We would laugh watching Andora's intriguing reactions. Andora would often start looking around the room as if something was floating around. If it became too overwhelming, or Danielle would say there were lots of angels present, Andora would often leave the room. It was interesting to watch, but nothing compared to the experience we had with the angels themselves. One experience before our nurse had left had us all present blown away. The occurrence happened not long before her decision to stop eating and drinking. She had some concerns with her health that she wanted to discuss with our nurse. It just so happened the nurse was delayed several hours. Danielle told me it was likely due to someone passing. I didn't know and accepted her opinion. When the nurse finally arrived late in the afternoon, Danielle told her that she knew why she was late. The nurse smiled at Danielle but said nothing. Danielle then told her it was because someone passed. The nurse nodded in approval but offered no comment. The appointment proceeded as normal with the nurse checking Danielle's vitals. We knew it was unethical to share patient information. Danielle continued by stating it was a woman who passed and that she was likely in her mid-80s. The nurse now looked surprised, but still responded with no comment. No one was prepared for the following statement. Danielle said the woman passed with her mother and sister by her side. Finally, the nurse sat down in the chair in utter disbelief. She just responded, "How do you know this?" Danielle responded without hesitation that the angels were telling her. We were all completely left in disbelief at the message that had come through Danielle. It wasn't going to be the last time either. It was always fascinating to hear the messages and observe each unique response. Danielle was always given a free space to explore and share those experiences while I was around. In my life's journey, I have had many interesting experiences with those that have passed. It was not unusual for me to hear about the topics that Danielle was experiencing, considering one of the blogs that I follow is about a woman who channels her late husband. A husband who before he passed was channeling spirits too. Channeling is something people can do where a spirit will share information through the person as if they were a conduit for delivering the message. I could tell that Danielle was a channel for messages from the other side, which is why when she asked me one evening, "Who is Sophie?" it left me speechless. The reason being is that Sophie was my childhood dog who passed away only a year prior. After her passing, she started visiting me as a giant white polar bear. I never told Danielle, but she had been regularly appearing to me while she was sick. Most of the experiences were regarding clearing dark energies, which Danielle never wanted to hear about. I've had numerous experiences of her being one of my animal spirit guides. This time was a bit different because Danielle explained to me that she was coming to her as a beautiful angel. Considering that Sophie was one of my most recent spirit guides, it was so powerful to have her visiting my wife too. It made me truly embrace the fact that there is more to this world than just this life. I couldn't deny the synchronicity of my closest guardian angel also appearing to my wife. Another interesting thing that Danielle started channeling before her passing was, strange enough, Lakota, the ancient Native American language. She would genuinely speak in tongues with such beauty and grace. She explained this wasn't the first time she spoke in Lakota, but now she was better. She spoke it effortlessly. She couldn't even believe how incredible it sounded. It was more magical when we would do it together. I admit that I never tried speaking in tongue before Danielle put me on the spot. I was nervous, but I knew it made her happy when I embraced it. I noticed the more I embraced it, the easier the sounds would flow. When I was anxious or tired, I couldn't relax enough to let the words emerge. I loved this unexplainable and unique experience that Danielle and I shared. However, she would also share her Lakota with many of the visitors. She was changing lives without even trying. Some of the information was genuinely prophetic. Danielle spent much of her last few weeks sharing the information she was receiving. She did a lot of writing, including making sure to pass messages on to her friends and students. She wrote many letters to her students and the important people in her life, and it was amazing the power she had regained in herself. Still, the most interesting visits were when Danielle would call people out on their dreams or nightmares. She was so good that she had the uninitiated doing tarot cards to understand their dreams. While common practice for many in Sedona, it wasn't something these professional women were accustomed to doing. Danielle would give answers and knowledge that had everyone believing. Regardless of the belief in tarot or having prior dogmas, Danielle was showing a side that few people had experienced. It still didn't compare to the experiences we shared alone. Her dream recalls and recall of other experiences grew every day. She was gaining deep insight into her life's purpose. The message she would receive were more than just an active imagination, including one dream that left me in a state of shock. I was woken up in the middle of the night to Danielle in a complete panic, and it was almost chilling the way she was shaken up. I don't think I could have ever imagined what it was that set her off. When I asked her what was wrong, she gave me an answer that still haunts me a little. Danielle proceeded to tell me that in a past life, she was a Nazi commander who was closely connected to Hitler. I wasn't alarmed by that until she told me that in my past life, I was a Jewish woman that she had gang raped and murdered. This news had a physical reaction that I still recall in vivid detail almost a year and a half later. I couldn't deny that I was having a unique reaction to this news. Immediately, I felt chills go through my entire body. I couldn't explain it, but I felt all the pain and discomfort that came with an experience like that. Little did I know, but the imagery of the incident would also return that evening. Talk about trauma. And to know that in a past life this event may have happened still haunted us. Still, nothing could truly calm the anxiety that Danielle felt about being a Nazi war criminal. It also allowed us to delve into the idea of why she might have lived her current life the way she did. Danielle had practically lived the exact opposite of being a war criminal. In reality, she spent most of her life putting criminals behind bars. The local Sedona Police Department credits her for over 36 arrests. She even taught anti-bullying, which is the exact opposite of what occurred in our past life. If you looked at it from the grand perspective of balancing karma, she seemed to have succeeded. The added support of my forgiveness helped free her from the pain she carried. Forgiveness was the most powerful aspect of her moving past the trauma. The mutual remembrance of Nazi Germany was only to be our first realization of past lives. Danielle told me that several years prior she was given a past life reading. During the reading, she was informed that in the early 1900s she was a madam. Sadly, her life ended abruptly when a jealous lover killed her. Some drunk had pushed her off a cliff in Jerome. At that exact moment, an immediate chill ran down my back and a feeling of embarrassment mixed with shame. I blurted out, "I'm sorry, but I believe I may have pushed you off the cliff." We both felt the truth in that statement. It also explains my aversion to alcoholism in this life. Shocked, we also recalled another past life we had already coincidentally discussed. Danielle once had told me that she was the child of Isadora Duncan, one of the women who founded modern dance in the early 1920s. It explained Danielle's desire to dance in this lifetime, and it also made me recall what I had learned about how Isadora Duncan lost not just one child, but both of her children in a car accident. I realized that in that life, we were likely brother and sister when we both died together. It was clear to me that we had a close connection to be with each other at the end of our lives. The clarity I was gaining about the infiniteness of our lives across time and space was becoming more fact instead of theory for me. Thank you for listening. Please feel free to like, share, or comment on any of the free chapters from the website dancingbeyondcancer.com. It is a story that must be shared to help others face the challenges of cancer. More chapters available every Monday. You can support the author on dancingbeyondcancer.com by purchasing the book, making a donation, or making a pledge on Patreon. As always, thank you again for all the continued support.